Hello everyone, welcome back to our Shir and Dishu Bahalacha. As you can tell, I've been traveling around a little bit. Today was a bit of a crazy day, but I do want to cover a page. So we are on Reish Nun Daled Amid Beis. We are in Siman Shin Pei Hey. Hopefully we'll finish Siman Shin Pei Hey today. We're on the top line in the Mechaber in Seif Beis. Says the Mechaber, Kuti Harehu Kishar Amim. A kuti has the same din as any other non-Jew. Ve'en loy takana ela b'schirus, and if a kuti were to live in a chatzar together with at least two yidden, in order to make it a ruva chatzerais, you would have to be maskir rishus from the kuti. And of course, what's being pointed out over here by the Mechaber is that a kuti has the din of a complete non-Jew. That was something which was questionable back in the times of the Gemara, exactly what the status of a kuti was, whether kutim were considered Ovdei Avodah Zarah or not. And in the end, it was decided that they are Ovdei Avodah Zarah, and therefore kuti has the same din as any other non-Jew. Continues the Mechaber in Seif Gimel. Yisrael mumar la'avodas alilim. If you have a yid who Nebuch unfortunately became a mumar to avodas kechavim, he's a yid who is an oved avodas kechavim, he's a heretic. Or if chas v'chalila, if we have a yid who's mechal Shabbos befarhesia, he transgresses the Shabbos publicly. Afilu einoi mechaloloi elu be'isur derabanan, even if he's only mechal Shabbos on the level of isurei derabanan, harehu ka'ovid elilim, he gets the din of a non-Jew, of an ovid avodas kechavim. V'em eina mechal elu b'tzina. However, if he only transgresses the Shabbos in private, he doesn't do it publicly, he doesn't flaunt the halachas of Shabbos publicly, afilu mechaloloi be'isur da'araisa, then even if he transgresses the Shabbos on the level of a daraisa, even if he transgresses a biblical prohibition of Shabbos, harehu ki Yisrael, he retains his status as a yid, umevatel rishus, and you don't have to be maskir rishus from him, he could be mevatel rishus. So if this yid would be living in a chutzner together with other yidden, and he is a mechal Shabbos, but he's only mechal Shabbos b'tzina, he only does it privately, so then you don't have to be maskir rishus from him, he could be mevatel rishus to the other b'nei hachotzer. He could give over his rights in the chotzer to the other people, and they could make it a ruva chatzerais, and then he would have the status of being a guest by them, and he wouldn't aser on them. He can't contribute to the Erev, because certainly he doesn't follow Isurei Derabanan. He definitely is a kaifer in Torah Shebal Peh. This person is even Mechal Shabbos, so he's not Moide Be'erev. He doesn't agree to the concept of the Dinei Derabanan of Erev, so he can't contribute to the Erev, but he could be Mevatel Rishus. Now in the Mishnah Berurah, we're going to define some of these terms. Exactly what does it mean that somebody is Mechal Shabbos Befarhesia? What is considered Mechal Shabbos Betzina? Let's see the Mishnah Berurah in Eis Cotton Gimel. Mumar la'avodas gilulim. If a yid chas v'chalila is an oved avodas kechavim, he's known as somebody who worships foreign deities. Afilu betzina, even if he does so privately, somebody who is an idol worshiper, even betzina, he is no longer has the status of being a yid. He is unfortunately considered equal to a non-Jew. Or if he transgresses the Shabbos publicly, the sin of being mechal Shabbos befarhesia is equal to that of avodas kechavim. It's equal to worshiping avodah zarah. Shenasa bazeh mumar l'chal Torah. Somebody who's a mechal Shabbos befarhesia, somebody who transgresses the Shabbos publicly, is as if he's a mumar l'chal Torah kula. It's as if he is a heretic going against the entire Torah. V'dafka b'sharagel ba'avoin zeh. However, the Mishnah Berurah says over here, and he brings this down from Magen Avram, who says it in the name of Tosfos, that this is only true when he's a ragel ba'avoin zeh, when he's accustomed to transgressing the Shabbos publicly. But if this is something that only happened one time, loy mikri mumar, we're not going to give him the status of a heretic. However, there are those that say that if somebody, even if somebody's only mechal Shabbos befarhesia one time publicly, it seems that Rashi learns that such a person is considered a mumar. Now, The Chavetz Chaim says, Farhesia Mikri, what's called being Mechal Shabbos B'Farhesia, what's called publicly, Kishachilel B'fnei Asara Mi-Yisrael, when the act of transgression was done in front of 10 Yidden. That's called public. Or even if when the person transgressed the Shabbos, he didn't do it in front of 10 Yidden, but he knew very well that it was going to become public knowledge. V'da, then you should know, says the Chavetz Chaim, this is only when a person is doing it out of some kind of taiva, and he's benefiting somehow from being Mechal Shabbos. So let's say the person has a business, and it's very difficult for him to decide to close his business. So he keeps his business open on Shabbos. So that's called he's being Mechal Shabbos l'teyavoin. Ava lahachis. But if he's doing it lahachis, if he's doing it to be spiteful, if he's doing it to show that I don't believe in Shabbos, I'm going lahachis. Lahachis literally means to anger. If he's doing it to anger the Rabbeinu Shalom, he's doing it out of an act of rebellion, ava lahachis, afilu b'shar averos, even by other averos, v'afilu shaloi b'farhesia, and even if he doesn't do it publicly, dinoi ka'akum, somebody who's over averos lahachis, somebody who goes ahead to be over averos out of a rebellious spirit that he wants to go ahead and he wants to rebel, he wants to be kafir, he wants to go against the Torah. So then he doesn't have to be Mechal Shabbos. It could even be other averos could give him the status of being a goy. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ice Cotton, hey, that even if somebody transgresses the Shabbos, even if it's only on a D'Rabbanan Dika level, Ice Cotton, hey, Hareyu Ka'akum, he has the status of a non-Jew, it's in a Loimar, Le'inyin Zeh Sheina Moil Shuv Bitul Rishos Aladafka Schiras. What does the Mechaber mean? That somebody who transgresses the Shabbos on the level of a din d'Rabbanan has a din of a non-Jew. He means in the context of Hilchas Erevin. And specifically what he means is that if such a person lives in the Chatzar, he can't be Mevatel Rishus. Instead, you have to be Maskir Rishus from him. Well, in Shari Dvarim, when it comes to other halachos, yesh min ha'achrayim shesayvrim she'ein chashav k'mumar al yedei chil Shabbos b'isur d'Rabbanan. That somebody does not get the status of being a mumar if he's mechal Shabbos on a d'Rabbanan dika level. V'aynim b'yaridei Siman Beis b'piskei tshuva b'beis meir b'Siman Zeh b'Seif Gan Yaakov b'Sugyon. So if you want to see what the halacha of such a person is in the context of other halachas, you have to look at these mara mekaymos. Ois Katan Vav. Ella b'tzina, the Mechaber said, if somebody's Mechal Shabbos privately, he doesn't do it publicly. So then even if he transgresses a biblical prohibition, even if he transgresses the Shabbos on a Daraisatika level, the Mechaber said, Arehu ki Yisrael u'mavatel rishus. Says the Chavetz Chaim has cut vav, Ella b'tzina, if he only does it privately, v'im misbayish, this is a very important Mishnah Berurah, v'im misbayish lasois zeh b'fnei adam gadol. Let's say you have a fellow who is embarrassed, he's ashamed to transgress the Shabbos in front of a chush of a person. He knows he wouldn't get into the car in front of the Rav. So he might get into the car on Shabbos in front of 10 regular Yidden, in front of 10 neighbors of his, Yiddish neighbors that live on the block. But if he knew that the Rav was walking on the street, he wouldn't get into the car in front of the Rav. Even if he transgresses the Shabbos in front of many people, that's called betzina, that's called privately. And the truth is, I personally had a case like this. We had years ago, we were living in a different neighborhood, and we had a neighbor who I have very, very fond memories of, and he was chayzer b'tshuva b'Seif Yamav. Before he passed away, he became a Shomer Shabbos. Not only he became Shomer Shabbos, but he was very, very instrumental in turning a shul around, a very, very well-known shul in a very well-known neighborhood now. It had been a conservative shul, and he turned it over from being a conservative shul to being an Orthodox shul. Not only is it an Orthodox shul, but now it's the Minyan factory in that town. This man, I think, has a lot of schusim. When I was living together with him on the block, he was not a Shomer Shabbos. Every Friday afternoon, he would put on a suit. Late Friday afternoon, he would put on a white shirt and a suit. He would get out to his car, and he would drive his car around the block, and he would park it next to a park. And if on Shabbos he wanted to use the car, he would leave his house dressed up in his suit. He would walk a few blocks down to go to his car, and then he would get into his car and he would drive. but he would never be Mechal Shabbos in front of me. He would not be Mechal Shabbos in front of me. So even though he was Mechal Shabbos b'far Hesya at different times, he was never considered a Mechal Shabbos b'far Hesya because he never would be Mechal Shabbos in front of me. And this was negeya to different things at the time. I had to tell people he's not a Mechal Shabbos b'far Hesya. And here you have the Mishnah Berurah spells it out. In Mispayish Lasei said, if he's not willing to be Mechal Shabbos in front of somebody who he considers to be a chash of a person, even if he is Mechal Shabbos in front of multiple people, that's considered a Mechal Shabbos b'tzina, not a Mechal Shabbos b'far Hesya. Says the Mechaber in Seif Daled, Yisrael Shehemir, if you have Nebach, a Yid who went off the derech, he became a mummer. And he had a house in a chotzer together with other Yidden. Now this chotzer, they made in a Eruv Chatzeros, and they did it for the whole year. So let's say, like we said in the beginning of Hilchas Eruv Chatzeros, we said that the minig is that Erev Pesach, they would go over to the Rav. The Rav would make an Erev. He would take the pas. He would be mazaka for the whole city. He would give it to somebody and say, here, accept it on behalf of everybody. And this is going to be the Erev. And the Erev is going to last for the whole year. So let's say you had a Yid who lived in a Chatzar, and he was part of an Erev that was made for the whole year. And now he went off the derech and he became a mummer. So that brings down the Erev. Now his contribution to the Erev no longer counts, and now he has the status of a non-Jew, and you have to be maskir rishus from him. So the Mechaber says the following: Im ein loy pesach acher klal, if the only doorway that he has from his house is into the Chatzar with the other Yidden, hu oiser b'chol Shabbos shechal la'acher shehemir. So now the Erev is no longer good. From the point that he became a mummer and onwards, for every Shabbos, you no longer have an Erev. You have to be maskir rishus from him, and you have to make a new Erev. Aval, im yesh loy pesach acher l'shchuna se'ena Yehudi, but let's say his house had two doors. One door opened up onto the Chatzar with the other Yidden. Then he had another door that opened up onto a Chatzar with a bunch of Goyim. Afilu hu pesach cotton shaloi haya regel by betchila, even if that second doorway that goes to the non-Jewish street is only a very small doorway and he's not accustomed to using it, you push him away, you tell him that he has to use the door going to the non-Jewish street, and then he won't aser. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ois Cotton Zion. This Chatzar, where this Yid who went off the derech lives, they made an Erev for the entire year. It's Tzayna Loimar. The Loyamrinan the Kevet Shehuter Leizer Shabbosais Shechalu Kaidim Shehemer Huter L'Chal Hashana. The Mishnah Berurah points out to us that what the Mechaber is telling us over here is, you might think that this Erev was made on Erev Pesach, and when it was made on Erev Pesach, this Yid was a Fruma Yid. So now you made an Erev, and this Erev might have been effective already for 5-6 weeks after Pesach. Now the Yid Nebach went off the derech. You might think we say Kevet Shehutra Hutra. Since the Erev was effective for several weeks after Pesach, it should remain in effect for the entire year, even though the Yid went off the derech. Kamash Malan the Mechaber that we don't say that. The Chol Shabbos v'Shabbos milsa b'fnei atzmahi. Each Shabbos is looked upon as a separate din. The Kevin Shehimir, and once this Yid went off the derech, Batal Chelka be'erev, his contribution to the Erev is null and void, and now you have somebody who has the status of a non-Jew who's living there in the Chatzar. V'aiser alei on the Shabbos acheres. So now he asers on the Yidden for the other Shabbos ad sheyiskaru bimenu, until you're maskir rishus from him. The Erev is no longer good for all continuing Shabbos. Let's say he goes off the derech on a particular Shabbos. Then mutar aloisei Shabbos. Then the Erev is going to remain in effect for the duration of that Shabbos. That you will say. If the Yid was a Fruma Yid at the beginning of Shabbos, then you say Kevin Shehutra Hutra for that Shabbos. But you don't say Kevin Shehutra for future Shabbos. Ois Cotton Tess, Avalim Yeshloi, the Mechaber said, if this Yid who went off the derech has another doorway that opens onto a non-Jewish Chatzar, so then you push him off to that doorway. Let's say originally he only had a door going into the Yiddish Chatzar. And now, upsachai achar shehemer. So you made an Erev for the entire year on Erev Pesach. For the first 6 weeks after Pesach, everything was fine. In middle of the summer, he went off the derech. When he went off the derech, now your Erev was batel, because his doorway opens up onto your chutzner. Now you have essentially somebody who has the status of a non-Jew living in the chutzner. Now he went ahead and he made a new doorway that goes onto a non-Jewish street. So does the Erev come back now? Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ayin La'el Siman Shin Pei Gimel Sif Aleph. Take a look back at Shin Pei Gimel Sif Aleph. In Shin Pei Gimel Sif Aleph, we talk about the halacha of a guy who comes to his house in the chutzner on Shabbos. So he had a house in the chutzner and he wasn't living in there, but now he showed up on Shabbos. So we said over there that the Erev becomes batel when he comes. Now, what happens if he comes back? The Erev is batel, so now you want to go over to him and you want to be maskir rishus. We said it doesn't work. You can't be maskir rishus for him on Shabbos to bring the Erev back. Once the Erev was batel, the Erev was batel. Now you have to make a new Erev, you have to be maskir rishus from him, you have to make a new Erev. So the same thing over here. What you want to say over here is, you had an Erev. Now this Yid went off the derech. When he went off the derech, the Erev was batel. Now he goes ahead and he makes a doorway going to the non-Jewish street. You want the Erev to be resuscitated. Doesn't work that way. Once the Erev is batel, you have to be maskir rishus, you have to make a new Erev. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut Yud Pesach cotton, if he has a small doorway going to a non-Jewish street. However, this opening does have to be at least 4 tvachim by 4 tvachim. Pesach. Anything smaller than that is bechlal not considered a Pesach. You push him off to go to the doorway that goes to the non-Jewish street. You force him to use that other doorway. You have the right to force him because he's hurting you and he's not gaining anything. You have another doorway. Use that doorway. Don't use this doorway and hurt us. The gam, and in our case, the bevadai kevich and isnaker v'ragel ma'akum, this person who went off the derech, he's not hanging around with us anymore. We don't even want him hanging around with us anymore. So he opened up a door going to the non-Jewish street, he can hang out with them. He's probably happier with that doorway. It goes to people that unfortunately he's more comfortable with. Okay, for today we're going to stop over here. Mir Hashem, tomorrow we will begin Siman Shin Pei Vav. Be well.